we'll be in touch. Yeah. Hey guys, we're canceling this. Everybody's been waiting a really long time. We know we're canceling it, but we'll be in touch.
We'll update you when we know. We'll have our people call your people. Don't worry about it. All right, everyone, welcome to another edition of Game Wild. I am Joe, aka Ruffhouse Plays. Digitally next to me is SJW, Shit Just Works, Justin, whatever you want to call him. He goes by many names.
What is up, everybody? I am excited to be bringing episode 22, right, to everybody.
Well, it depends on where we want to.
I told you it's going to be the lost episode. It's going to be the lost episode.
We have a lost episode somewhere around here, but anyways, it's an episode nonetheless. So, guys. Before we start getting into it, we just want to thank everyone for joining us. Give us that 5-star review on Apple Podcast. Review us on other podcast apps. Give us a like. Give us a subscribe on YouTube. All that fun stuff. Find us on all of our social medias, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever the case may be.
And just remember,
so now
guys,
I got that out of the way.
Only 5 stars are allowed. Like you're only allowed to give 5 stars. If you give anything other than 5 stars, it's going to give you an error. So you can't do it. You got to give 5 stars.
Right, exactly. It's going to break your phone.
Yeah.
Just be careful. It's going to break your phone. It's the newest update to the Apple podcast.
Yeah, the newest iOS software.
13.5 or something.
only for the Game Wild podcast. We had it coded in specifically.
Yeah, exactly. It's right. Exactly. We know some people at Apple. But speaking about knowing people, we have some exciting news. It is not official yet, but we're at about 99%, so I feel like we can discuss this a little bit. When we went to PAX East back in February, which feels like forever ago now, because it was like the last time that you could really
interact with society,
be with people.
Yeah,
at least be with people and not protest. So the biggest thing that we took from it is that we met some people, we interacted with some people, we got cards, we gave cards, all that fun stuff, and it looks like some of those seeds we planted are starting to grow into some flowering plants. And SJW, I'll let you take this because you've been the person who's been spearheading this and having the conversation, so why don't you give our listeners a little idea of what we're working on currently?
So yeah, I'm pretty excited. I'm not gonna throw any names out there or anything, but we do have in the works right now. It was actually when we played it there, it was alpha, right? It was an alpha, so
it was pre-alpha.
It's like pre-alpha. Like the game wasn't even created yet. We played it in our minds, so it was pretty cool. It was kind of like a Rocket League-esque kind of game to hint at anybody out there if you've ever heard of it, which I highly doubt it. It's a very smaller company, smaller game, but very excited nonetheless because of the gameplay. What are you pointing at me for? What are you pointing at me for?
Because if you guys haven't listened to our actual PAX East podcast that we did,
then you
would be able to find out who it is.
Know. There is a way to figure this out if you guys want.
There is a way, yes.
But anyways, it's a pretty cool game. It has a competitive nature to it, which is why I like it, which is something that could, bring it to the next level as far as esports and stuff are concerned. So I'm always interested in games like that. Yeah. Very fun gameplay. Definitely an addictive type of game too. So we are possibly, which it's pretty likely, I've been talking to a representative for a couple weeks now. We're looking to hopefully get an interview scheduled with one of the creators of the game just to kind of go over the game, answer some questions, and hopefully get some not pre-alpha, so like the next stage of alpha codes to hand out on either my stream or Ruffhouse Plays stream or just on the podcast.
Or both, or just like on the podcast, exactly. And there's going to be no restrictions to that. Whatever they give us, we're going to hand out to people. We want people who are serious about playing the game, because the idea of them giving this codes out is not just because they want people to play the game, but because they want feedback. They want to see what people think about the game, what can they do better, stuff like that. And that's what we're trying to do here. A little bit of the inside baseball. SJW and I, we go over what we're looking to do each podcast about, I'd say 15 to 20 minutes before we actually record, and just kind of go over what we're going to talk about and things like that. And I have to say, sometimes we find some hidden gems. And we'll go into this when we go through the new releases of the week, because there's a new release that looks kind of cool, and I had never heard about it before. It's on Steam. It's actually something that you can play now if you have if you can purchase it on pre-release still, but it's going to be coming out this week coming up. But when I saw it, I'm like, wow, this is a cool concept. It's very similar to other games we've played, but never heard about it before. But because we do the digging now, we're able to show these games off to you. Monster Train was another one that was like that, where I was like,
God.
wow, I didn't
we wouldn't
know
even have known
Train.
about it if it wasn't for this
right
podcast.
And now it's right, exactly. And it's just like, so we're trying to give games that maybe under the radar, or games that you might be interested in, that are indie developers and new developers, a chance to shine. And I know that we don't have the most gigantic following in the world, but I think by coming together and working with all these developers, we'll be able to grow multiple communities out and be able to get more people involved. And I think that's the important part. If the people from the community of the game that we're going to interview the creator or one of the co-creators or developers on, whoever it may be, they are going to tell their people to listen to the podcast, and then they're going to find out about games and go forward, and they may go back. You know what I mean? Like, this could be cool. And if we get more companies involved that are wanting to share themselves and share their journey, because that's another thing that I want to tell you guys, that with these people, we're not just going to be talking about the games. We're going to be talking about their journey, what made them get to the places that they are now, why did they decide that this was the route for them, because we also want people who are interested in the gaming world to see other sides of the coin and not just be like, hey, let's play a new game. It's like, hey, here's a creator. What did they go through? What were their struggles?
How did this game actually
like
come to light? Which is one of the crazy, especially with games that are like really weird, random genres that you're like, what the hell game is that? It's really interesting trying to get into the head sometimes of those developers to see what it was they were thinking with that. And Monster Train was a great example of a game that actually got on a bandwagon of a new kind of idea for a card game, with Slay the Spire and other games that had done something similar and did very, very well with it, which will actually segue into, we had a little giveaway that we were doing, right? And it was for, yeah, I know, right? It was for Monster Train. And
it was
basically, if you had either already reviewed our channel or reviewed our channel, as well as sub to Game Wild, as well as my YouTube and Ruffhouse Plays YouTube, you got entered for a chance to win a copy of Monster Train, which I have played the hell out of lately. I know Ruffhouse, you have too. Yeah, so, and it's a freaking great game. I'm gonna hopefully try to get to it's not Ascension. What is it again?
What's that?
No, the level 25 or whatever. It's not called Ascension in Monster Train.
Oh man, I can't remember the Covenant.
We literally just said it. Covenant rank. Okay.
Yeah.
So we went ahead, we drew the names for the giveaway, and it is going to actually be Ed Man. Ed, I don't know what you want to have him go by,
E-Man.
But E-Man.
We call him E-Man.
E-Man, who's been around for a while and actually does know myself as well as Joe. So
yeah, and we want to let everyone know that we haven't grown enough, quite honestly, where there are a ton of people reviewing us and putting us in. So we don't want it to feel like, because to be honest with you, there was probably maybe one or two that were not like fully known people to us. A lot of people who have reviewed us and have written, we do know them. And the reason why we did the giveaway was mainly because of the fact that we were just excited to give away a game, and we really didn't think about all the stuff that goes into it, and we were just like, oh, let's just give away this game and see what happens. And we want to let people know that we're going to do a better job next time. It was kind of spur of the moment, and I think going forward we're going to work out a better plan to get more people involved in regards to how we set out the sweepstakes and how people can enter. And we're still rather small, so I'm not surprised that we did not get an extreme amount of traction on this one, to be honest with you. I really just was kind of like excited to share this game with somebody, and I just wanted to give it away, and I figured maybe we could gain some major traction, and we really didn't. So don't feel like we just gave this to someone we knew, because it wasn't the case. It just happened to be that
there was like 4
how many people that were like that. You're right, exactly. It was definitely not something that was it basically just came down to that. It really was. And so E-Man, if you are listening, you probably already have the game, because I'm going to actually send it to you now while we are on the podcast, which means before this airs, you are already going to know that you own a copy of Monster Train. And you're welcome. So, now that we got some exciting news out of the way, let's talk about disappointing news. That brings us to the question of the week. This week's question, as SJW plays with his mic, he broke it. So
can you still hear me?
I can hear you now. He's holding it like he's a quiz show guy, like he's got the microphone up to his face, and he's just like, today on quiz show. All right, here's what we're gonna do.
Can you still hear me?
So no, all right. Start talking again.
Can you still hear me?
Now I can hear him. So
okay.
Listen, guys, he broke in the.
I break things sometimes.
Broke the fourth
okay.
wall. Yeah, apparently.
Well, hey,
so guys,
hold on. I did want to throw in one thing. Biggest,
okay,
most important thing, because I think I was like talking earlier and you couldn't hear me. The Monster Train giveaway mainly is just to show our appreciation to everybody who does listen on the weekly. To myself and Joe ramble on about video games and stuff like that. And yeah, it was our first giveaway. It's actually the first one I've done too with my channel growth and stuff on YouTube.
This is my second giveaway. When
really?
I first became, so when I first became a Twitch, what do they call that?
Affiliate
or whatever. Affiliate. Yeah, so you could start making money on Twitch and getting subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
I said, hey, we're on. All my followers, if you want to subscribe, you get a better chance to win. Mm-hmm. So we had a bunch of people subscribe, but really it only came down to like 5 people, and I gave away I think a $10 Steam gift card, which is how I knew
how to do it.
That you need. Yeah. Well, I knew that you needed to have the person be a friend on Steam for at least 2 days.
Well, either way, Ed's going to be able to appreciate Monster Train as much as we did, because it's a freaking awesome game. So either way, we are happy to give it away. And like Joe said, next time we'll probably be able to do it just a little bit better, kind of get the info out there next time, give people a little bit more chance to enter, more time to enter. So, but
yeah,
back to what we usually talk about here, which is video game news and the question of the week that Joe already introduced, but you guys couldn't hear me, so here we go.
All right, so back to the question of the week.
We got 2 intros for the QOTW this week.
What up? Thanks to SJW's failure. So we heard about some things happening, and SJW was really disappointed that this happened, and we're going to go into it once we're done with this question. But the question was, have you ever had any gaming disappointments? And, when it's a very open-ended question, and it's not something that is very specific. So, I mean, you could go as deep as saying, wow, I played a game that I put like 60 hours into, and the ending was just so crap, or something like that, or just a disappointment to like overall. So like for me to answer this question, I'd say I think one of my biggest disappointments overall in gaming is when a highly anticipated game gets pushed back or gets delayed. To be honest with you, it breaks me down to the point where it's like, oh, I want to play this game so bad, and then you hear it gets delayed. Like Cyberpunk, for example, is one of those games where it's like, man, I just want to get that game, but it keeps getting pushed back. And then, Last of Us Part 2 was another one that you just were like interested in playing. When we were at PAX, it was going to come out in May. Now it's coming out this month. I mean, there is just like it's just so disappointing.
Cyberpunk is now coming out September 17th, 2020, by the way, just as an FYI.
Right, and I think it was originally slated for the summer.
Yeah.
So it's just like things like that. It's an extreme disappointment. And I know it sounds kind of, open-ended the way I answered it and saying, oh, well, one of my biggest gaming disappointments is when something gets delayed. But I tried to think about like a specific moment in my life where I was like, this is disappointing.
So, all right. So here we go. This is, at first, my mind just went into like 8 different spots. All right. So here's, I'm going to take you through this journey real quick. All right. So this
Take me on the journey.
At first, I was going to say exactly what we're about to talk about in a second, which is something that Sony just did, which you guys will figure out in a second, or you might already know. But I didn't want to do that because obviously that's like the easy answer. It just happened. Of course, we're disappointed. So I really dug a little bit deeper. So then my next thought was the PlayStation 3 and its pricing. When it first came out, I think that was the biggest disappointment for me because I had to wait in line for God knows how long at like a freaking Walmart or something. And it ended up being, I think it was $600 when it first came out. And that was back then.
Yes,
that
sir.
was back in 2004. I think. Does that sound right?
I want to know.
Or seven.
PlayStation 3 was around 2006 or 7.
Yeah, so that was an insane amount back then because everything was around the $300 price point.
It's still an insane amount.
So, and even now but now it's just a little bit overpriced at $600. Back then it was like double the price of a console.
Because I honestly think that, like I've been talking about in previous podcasts, the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X are probably going to fall between, $400 to $500.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Now it's only $100 more versus back then it was literally double the amount. Because PS2 I think released at $299. Does that sound right?
Maybe
back in 2001. I'm not sure. We're gonna have to do some digging for that. But anyways, that was a big disappointment. But then, what really has been not just a big disappointment to me, but just a consistent disappointment and a big learning lesson for me is things like Twitch and things like YouTube that I've really been trying to go, full force on lately, and even this podcast. There's been so many times where I've gone to stream, especially when you first start streaming. So for anybody who's listening who does eventually want to stream or get into that area of gaming or making content online, it's really disappointing to like make a YouTube video and put it up, and it's a game that you really love to play, and you think it's gonna be, oh my god, everything's good, the music's good, the intro's good, I'm good, this thing is gonna do great, and you get a big whopping 0 views, 0, nilch, nada, and that is hella disappointing. And it's disappointing the second time, and the third time, and the 5th time, and the 8th time in a row that it happens when you first start. But it does get better after that. And I think not only is that a big disappointment, or was a big disappointment to me, but it's also a huge learning experience for me that I've gone through. And the disappointments actually just get further. So now I'm not disappointed in 0 views. I'm disappointed when there's only 500 views versus 1,000 or whatever that might be. So so anybody listening who wants to get into content creation, definitely something to think about there as far as that's concerned. But yeah, biggest thing as far as consoles and games, PS3. Biggest thing now in terms of my life is the content creation, stuff like that, and just knowing that you get to kind of power through it, and things get better.
Yeah, and I think part of the problem too with all that is really the fact that you put so much time, so much effort into these things, and to not see it like
immediately
grow to that point, it kills you a little bit. And I'm struggling with that myself right now currently with just doing a full-time job from home, then having to stream from the same place when I've worked 8 to 10 hours in this one room, and just trying to get away from this room a little bit so that I can spend time with the family and just chill out. And so when I go back up here, it's kind of ruined a little bit, and that's why I haven't streamed much, because I haven't had any energy. And that's another thing too that is just a disappointment in general, is just like the push to be able to get up and say, hey, like my last stream was a week or two ago. It was Monster Train, ran about 2 hours, got 0 people in the group, like 0. Not even you.
Oh,
sadly.
hey, way to call me out, bro. Wait, I thought I jumped in real quick. No.
No, that was the one before that. But
okay.
but the last one I did, which was about 2 hours,
Yep.
did not get one person in the thing, and it's just rough because it's like,
well, you're talking to yourself.
That's not even the hardest part. To be honest with you, that's not the hardest part. The hardest part is not seeing anyone come in to have a conversation with, and the more I look at it, the more I feel like I have to find a niche like you did versus variety stream, because I feel like variety streamers, I don't know what the hell, because like I think part of the reason why you have what you have is because you stuck with the whole Legends of Runeterra deal, and you were like, hey, I'm gonna dig into this, I'm gonna make YouTube videos about cards, and when things get nerfed, I'm gonna go rage quit and tell people about it. It's like I need to find that passion, I think, and that's my problem, that's my struggle, and that's kind of my own little disappointment, is that I need to be better at trying to put a better foot forward to stream more, because when we were first doing it, I was on it all the time, and I was really gaining some traction, and then COVID happened, and I was working 50 to 60 hours from home. I actually work more
from home than
working from home than I did when I worked at the office. Like when I worked at the office, I could say that I was putting in 40 to 45 hours a week, and in bad weeks I was putting in 50 when it was really tough, but for the most part I was probably at like 45 to 50 hours, but like it was a different place, because like that was work, and there was home, and now it's like, well, home is also work, and hopefully soon we'll be back to somewhat of not having to work from home too much. But
see, everybody, video games aren't all fun and games, all right? So it's hard, especially when you're passionate about gaming and you do want to play everything. Like I'm just now catching up on Final Fantasy 7. Like I wanted that game to come out for 20 years, and I'm just now like catching up and getting halfway through the game because I'm working on other things, plus that whole thing, the real job that brings in the money that you have to do so that you can pay your bills, that thing.
It's the thing that actually makes this possible right now, is us actually working, because we actually buy all this equipment ourselves. We're not really been gifted anything. We've always had to buy everything.
No, this just appeared. This whole room around me just appeared right here. I just snapped my fingers and it just appeared. I wish.
So that's why it's important that we gain more viewers, more people, so one day we can do this and not have to worry about putting in 60-hour weeks for that. Maybe we can put in 60-hour weeks for this.
Oh, one can only dream. You know how many video games I can play?
It's not even about that. It's just like content creation and putting stuff out for people, and getting people's getting companies' names out there, and helping indie developers grow more, because I think that's really going to be the biggest thing that we want to try to contribute.
Well, those indie developers are in the same boat, right? Like they're probably, a lot of them are probably some sort of startup or on the side that they're doing. Some guy works at another company. He wants to program some game on the side and hope that it hits it big, right? So a lot of those people are in the same exact spot. We're in the content creation realm. They're in the content creation, but it's more so game development realm, right? So I agree 100%, and that's where I think we can help them out too. So very excited to hopefully do that interview next weekend.
Me too.
That would be great.
So now that we know our disappointments, let's see what disappointed us last week. And that happens to be that on Thursday, June 4th, there was supposed to be a conference from Sony showing gameplay and other things, possibly even dropping a price or something like that. Not confirmed, but we did confirm that they were going to at least have some games shown, and it didn't happen because of some rioting and some protests that happened, and they decided it was not
that's an understatement.
But at the end of the day, because of the situation that was happening, Sony decided to delay it.
Do you know what kills me? Did you see this article on Games Radar? It was literally PlayStation goes, "We'll be in touch." Hey guys, we're canceling this. Everybody's been waiting a really long time. We know we're canceling it, but we'll be in touch.
We'll update you when we know. We'll have our people call your people. Don't worry about it.
The better part too is, and this is for anybody who does play Legends of Runeterra, but Riot Games is another huge company, obviously very comparable to Sony. They specifically said one time that my dog just bombarded my room. They specifically said one time about something with Legends of Runeterra that came out. I forget, like a release date maybe, or like the release date of the full game. And they said it's coming soon, and then put a TM next to the soon. And everybody now, anytime Riot does anything, they just put coming soon TM. And everybody uses the word soon, they just put TM. And that's exactly what PlayStation 5 did. They also said that the next event is coming soon. Like, that could be a day. It could be 4 days. It could be 4 weeks. Like, we have no clue. So now we're just back, left in the dark. Nobody knows what the hell is going on. Who knows when the hell this event's going to happen?
Hashtag disappointment.
Hashtag, yes. Holy shit, yes. Hashtag disappointment. And, you know, yeah, I mean, everybody's looking forward to this. This was going to be the release date. This was going to be hopefully the price, which I don't see why not. I imagine they'll still do it by the end of the month, somewhere at some point during the month. But, and the reason I say that is because the other news that I found was the Steam Game Festival, the Summer Steam Game Festival. And this was also delayed by Valve. Valve, funny enough, did not provide any sort of information as to why they delayed it, technically. We all know why they delayed it. Like, we all freaking know why they delayed it. So the fact that they didn't make a statement is actually surprising. Now, my question is, why do you think... all right, what are your thoughts on the reason why both these events got delayed? Do you think it's right? Do you think it's wrong? Do you think they're stupid? What do you think?
I mean, I think they're just trying to do what they feel at the moment. I one of the type of people that would say, you know, this stuff is supposed to be a distraction from the problems and the disappointments and the things that happen in our lives. And I know that there are very strong opinions about what's going on right now in the world, and they just felt like maybe because there were so many things happening, unfortunately some of it very violent, that they decided not to do it. Granted, this was going to happen during the day on Thursday, so a lot of the rioting and pillaging that happened in different states. Well, no, it would have been... No, it was going to be...
The conference was going to be during the day, but I'm saying the riots and stuff usually happen at night, no?
Right, and no, and that's part of it too. But I think part of it is, you know, who knows if they decide to do this, if there would be a protest or a riot or something while they're showing off their stuff, and maybe they just didn't want to take away from the moment. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Until they put out some type of reasoning why that's not ambiguous, we're really never going to know. But I think these are the types of things that should continue to go on unless there is safety concerns, which they didn't hint to. They didn't say anything about that the place that they were going to show off. And to be honest with you, I mean, quite frankly, they don't need to do any huge thing. They could do all this remotely. This did not have to be something that could have been like, hey, we're going to go on stage at the Sony arena in, you know, bum F New Jersey or whatever. They didn't have to do anything like that. They could have just been like, hey, we're going to do this conference remotely. We're going to show off some stuff because of COVID and now the whole situation where we're concerned about the protesting and possible rioting. So, but we want to share this with the world because we think we need some positivity. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing more positive than showing off games and stuff like that. And yes, you could also say, depending on what type of games they were going to show off, there is a lot of violence, and depending on what was being depicted. Listen, I'm not going to go into the what's because it's all what ifs. We don't know why they did it. Am I disappointed they did it? They did it, yes. Why? Because I think that these are the types of situations we need to help us kind of look away from the reality a bit and just step away. Not that you need to avoid reality forever, but take an hour, take 2 hours to sit down, watch something you really enjoy, find out some great news about what could be coming forward, and looking forward to something happening. You know, instead of just saying, hey, we're going to delay this again because all the riots and protesting that's happening, and that's what's going on.
Well, you mentioned like reality, right? And I feel like most people play video games for escapism. Like, that's a key concept of video games and why people like video games, why they play them so much. Sometimes it goes a little too far. Obviously, if you're never back with reality, that's obviously not a good thing. But I think that with that being said, most people also try to stay out of politics and therefore play video games. Like they don't want, if there's one thing in my life anyways that I don't want involved with politics, it's video games. Like, now, granted, there's always some business politics on the back end and behind the scenes that we probably don't see, but keep the video games out of it. Like, the people that don't want to be a part of it want to stay home and play the video games instead of dealing with whatever the hell's going out with the riots and on the streets and stuff. So I don't really like that Sony let this affect the announcement. I'm all for Sony saying, all right, we stand in solidarity. We're gonna shut down operations for a day, which I think Sony Music Studios did that on Tuesday with the Blackout Tuesday or whatever. So I'm all for showing their support. If they want to donate money, which we'll actually get into in a second with somebody else who donated money, they can do that. But I don't like, why does that have anything to do with a freaking announcement? So I think, and we talked about this before with, I forget what it was previously that we talked about. I think they're using this as a scapegoat. I think they want to figure out a reason to delay it longer, and I think they're using it as a scapegoat. I don't like, what other actual reason does this to you show that they support the movement that's going on, like, directly?
No, I think, looking at it, the only thing I could say, and once again, without a specific, like, hey, this is why we're doing it, it's because they don't want it to overshadow what's happening right now. Not that I think it ever would, and I think that's the problem, is that people will have differing opinions, and I think they just didn't want to rock the boat and say, okay, Sony's being insensitive right now. There was someone who, unfortunately, life is gone because of a lot of ignorance, and the problem comes down to, does Sony want to release something that makes them look insensitive because they're, either way they lose in some respect, right? Because they disappoint gamers lose. Because they want to do it. But I think what they're looking for is the fact that it's like, hey, we're trying not to piss off people who already don't like games. We know that the people who like games are going to follow us no matter what. So we'll get over it, and we will.
God, that pisses me off so much. That honestly... That irks me so much because, you know what? Unfortunately, there is always going to be that person that sues somebody because the coffee's hot, even though the coffee cup it's hot coffee. I don't know if you ever heard that story about the person that got coffee at McDonald's.
Yeah, actually, I've actually did a case study on it, so I know a lot more about it than you do.
There you go.
It's actually it's actually a very interesting case study, and people who don't know it say exactly what you say, but then when you actually look into the case, it's kind of crazy. So I won't get into it because that's not this podcast, but it had to do with, but just so you understand it, it had to do with the fact that they were actually heating the coffee up higher than it was supposed to be heated. And the person who spilled it actually had to have reconstructive surgery on certain parts of their body because of the spill.
Are you serious? Just because of hot coffee, they had to have reconstructive surgery. Holy
because
crap.
It was too hot, because it was over the heat that it was supposed to be standardized at for McDonald's level. And so it's not just about the fact that there wasn't a caution label. It was actually due to negligence of having the coffee be too hot,
it was just
believe
being
it or not.
Burned, yeah. Well,
and the person was burned to the point where they did have to get like skin grafts and reconstructive surgery. So it's actually a pretty interesting story and an interesting read. It's one of those things where it turns into Telephone. People just hear about a story and they just put their own spin on it, like, this person was stupid. They spilled coffee on themselves and they sued them. But it wasn't because they spilled coffee on it. Was because it was so hot that when they spilled coffee on themselves, they actually got burns that they should never have gotten due to the negligence of McDonald's.
Of what coffee
heating their coffee over. But anyways, guys,
I
digress.
Yeah, that's talk about a sidetrack podcast. The point I'm trying to prove here is that there's always going to be somebody that gets their freaking feelings hurt. There's always going to be somebody that's going to cry wolf. There's always going to be somebody that has an issue with some social media post or some decision that a company makes. And those, honestly, those people piss me off sometimes because you ruin it for the larger audience because you have to be taken into account by the company that, God forbid, you complain and cost the company millions simply because they did something that might seem insensitive. That's not even insensitive. It just might be insensitive. So, but I agree with you. I think that was probably why they made that business decision, if that's the case. It's just really unfortunate that that's the world that we live in sometimes with certain people.
It is, so. But that's my idea on that. But hey, guys, let's talk about something
on a brighter
positive.
Note. Yeah,
let's talk about something positive. I just noticed something. I'm gonna make the call out right now, guys. It is June 6th, 2020, as we record the podcast, and I just noticed that one of our big followers, more on our Twitch stream than anything else, Razoroid, his birthday today. It's his birthday.
Yeah, it is. Oh, actually, that's a good shout out. I was actually just talking to him last night on my stream. So, yeah.
Good.
Dude,
Yeah,
Razor,
so Razor,
happy freaking birthday. He needs a new
happy
keyboard
birthday.
if anybody wants to
We're
get
gonna
him something.
if we're gonna send him a message, he needs a new keyboard.
Yeah, he needs so I asked him because I actually have a spare one, but he already has a Corsair. He just kind of wants a new keyboard, doesn't really need it.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah. So, yeah, it's less of a need than anything, but
All right, it's a want.
yeah, it's just a want. But yeah,
Right.
it is his birthday. I forgot to ask him how old he's turning, so I have no idea, to be honest with you. But
I don't know either.
I don't know. But Razor, if you're listening, happy B-Day, my dude. I'll probably tell him next time he's on stream.
Yeah,
too,
actually,
so.
I'm gonna probably send him a Discord message. He's away right now on Discord, but I can see that it is his birthday today. So happy birthday, buddy! Hope everything goes well and you get maybe you got a keyboard. Who knows? Maybe on his
He might.
today,
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe you got a new keyboard from mom and dad. Who knows?
I gotta say, it's definitely a hard time to have a birthday. Mine's towards the end of this month, and
Listen,
with
I had my
COVID and
birthday in
everything.
May. Shut up.
Yeah. All right. Actually, yeah. May was even worse. June is at least doable. So
Somewhat.
all right,
Anyways,
so the good news.
so there's some positive news, but go ahead. Tell me something else.
So I mentioned Riot earlier, and we mentioned all this stuff going on with the riots. Well, I wasn't even trying to do that.
Yeah, well, that's yeah.
So all this stuff going on, everybody knows what's going on in the country with the riots and Black Lives Matter and all that happy stuff. So Riot Games, to kind of pivot a little bit from everything that's getting canceled because of all this crap going on right now. Riot Games will invest $10 million in minority-owned game studios, which is pretty big. That's a hefty amount of money. Now, this is why I say what I say about Sony using it as a scapegoat, and it's because of things like this that Riot's doing. Now, this is a little bit worse on Riot's end. If Sony had donated $10 million, I would have said, cool. They're a big company. They're trying to help out. Riot is donating $10 million. Cool. They're trying to contribute. I am 100% on board. But this is after, I don't know if we talked about it on this podcast or not, but they were previously in the news for basically having a very sexist culture at Riot Games.
No.
It was, yeah, I know, right? Especially in video games. I would have never guessed. And but just there was a lot of lawsuits filed, I think, and similar things happened due to like just sexual misconduct in the workplace. So to speak.
I mean, think about it. It's gamers, it's geeks.
Yeah.
They see women, they don't know how to act.
They're awkward.
No, but seriously, and years ago, IGN had the same issue. Not to bring up IGN as we have in the past, but there was a big thing with them. I want to say it was like 3 or 4 years ago. Huge sexual harassment situation. There was actually, I believe, a walkout and everything about it. So, not surprised to hear this, and I'm sure there's plenty of this going around, unfortunately, in different sectors of the world and different gaming areas, unfortunately.
I'm stupid though. I shifted from the good news. Okay, well that's just the why I think this is happening. But anyways, on the bright side, there is still $10 million. I know I did bad there. There is still $10 million being given by Riot to support minority-owned game studios. So I'll just read this quick blurb. League of Legends publisher Riot Games said that it will invest $10 million in founders who are underrepresented minorities and women in the video game community. So I like how the title though is minority owned, but they managed to sneak women in the news article there. And through Riot Games' social impact fund, the company will commit $1 million in contributions to the Innocent Project and the American Civil Liberties Union. The announcements follow up on tweets it made Sunday and Monday. So all good stuff, honestly. I mean, regardless of where it came from, regardless of why they're doing it from a business standpoint, because there's always usually an ulterior motive, it's still good overall in general, especially with everything going on right now with all the riots and all the Black Lives Matters movement. So very happy to see a large name like Riot do something like this and not just cancel an event. Sony. Sony. All right. Anyways.
Yeah, no, I get it, and I think it will be interesting, and I think more and more people are starting to understand what this is what's happening here, and I think more companies are going to start to try and get into donating and doing some things to help better the situation of others. So we'll see what happens.
So I do have another thing that I found. This isn't really like a news thing to discuss, but just some random thing that I thought was funny, because I don't know why, but I'm always drawn to cool logo stuff, like FedEx as an example, having the arrow in the middle of their logo, just subliminal messages that people don't really realize. So, do you remember the game Maneater that we?
Yes, I do. It was a very interesting game, and they had a huge booth over at PAX. So PAX. Yeah, I remember them. Yeah,
and I guess that was actually one of the more memorable things that I remember from PAX. I think we saw it mainly because of the What's Good Games podcast. I think they brought it up and talked about it a lot.
Well, I mean, they did talk about it a lot, but I got to say that it was a very interesting game booth when we passed by it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, people had, like, foam shark heads on there, like, shark mouths on their heads and stuff. So a lot of fun stuff.
So what I'm going to pull up, and actually, so if you guys are watching on the YouTube channel, I am going to be pulling up 2 logos on our picture real quick, so you're not going to see our beautiful faces for a second. Or actually, just mine. I'll keep Joe in the picture. So, so this is the Maneater logo. Now, the game itself, as the name implies, I'm sure you can imagine, is about sharks eating stuff. Men, women, tires, whatever might be in the ocean.
Other animals in the ocean.
Other animals. And it's kind of like an RPG-esque game where you grow up your shark, you level it up, you do stuff, and then you just create havoc in the ocean. Well, here's the logo. And the logo has a shark mouth, what looks more like a crocodile, to be honest with you, with the animation. But it is a shark. And that's just my opinion, all right? It's a shark, and it's over the eater portion of the logo. It says man eater, and the eater is red with the mouth over the eater. And a fan on Reddit actually took it upon themselves to Photoshop it and swap it so that instead of the mouth being over the eater, like it's eating the eater portion of the logo, it's now eating the man, which makes sense. Makes perfect sense.
More sense.
Yeah, it actually is a better logo because of that. And I just think that's one of those things that people don't really think about when they look at logos, but just making this very, 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 very small change completely changes how you look at this logo when you first see it.
Swing and a miss.
Swing and a miss by the company. So it'd be funny to see, because I don't know how copyright and stuff works with that. I'm still no copyright professional, even with everything that I'm doing right now. I wonder if they have to approach that person and ask them for permission to use that logo, or what has to happen, because I don't guarantee, but I wouldn't be surprised if they change that logo. So the game is already released after all. So that's my little 2 cents on the logo. I just thought that was an interesting
That's factually
fact.
correct.
Yeah, it's so. All right, so now we move on to, which I don't know if you know, I have included the Zelda theme every time that we do this segment now. So I will put it in right here, and you can introduce.
Everybody, it's your favorite segment of the podcast. Ruffhouse Deals.
Oh, yeah.
I have been slacking a little bit of my deals, I think. I feel like this week has been one that's not super great, but it's good. Okay, this is a pretty nice one, but for all those out there who've ever played Overcooked, guess what? You can actually own it now through the Epic Game Store. Until June 11th. It is around $20 game, so you're saving some bucks. But guess what? You can now get it for free on the Epic Game Store. Download it now before June 11th, and it's yours to keep for all of time.
I gotta say, I'm very excited with the era that we grew up in. Not gonna lie, like, it's pretty cool. We have access to so many games. We have so many cool, pieces of technology that we can utilize. But God, if I was younger right now in this era, the amount of, like, you could build a video game collection on just free games. Like with how many, even before COVID, there was still like weekly deals and stuff on every website, Sony, Microsoft, whoever. So I would have such a big collection if I'm like 8 years old right now. In the next 10 years, I'll have every video game by then.
Just like if you're on YouTube right now, SJW's dog's looking for something for free because he was roaming around his background. They're looking for something, whether it was a bone or something, but he's being a little restless. What's his name? Let's introduce him to the podcast.
This is Atlas.
Atlas. He looks like a mix, English Bulldog mix. I mean, American. He looks like an American Bulldog mix. What is he?
A boxer.
Oh, he's a boxer. Wow.
Yeah, oh, there he is.
There he is. Wow. I've never seen a boxer that wasn't brindle.
Go. I'm pretty sure he's a boxer. Now you got me questioning it. I'm pretty sure he's a boxer.
That does not. He's a mix.
Or maybe he is.
He's a mix. He's definitely a mix. He looks kind of like an American Bulldog mixed with a boxer because I've never seen those types of patterns on a dog before. That a boxer at least.
I don't know.
Do you see a lot of brindle with the white and the black, but not like the fully like the black and white like he looks like? Which
yeah, he's pretty much all black and white.
Yeah, so I would probably take a look into it, but I bet you he's a mixture of boxer and American Bulldog. That's my guess.
If you are watching the YouTube, comment below with what breed you think my dog is.
Yeah, exactly. Was he a rescue?
Or was yes, actually. Yeah.
So there you go. So he probably is just a mix of that. Guys, we talk about and we know a lot of things, not just about gaming, but about breeds of dogs, apparently. So let's go. Let's get it.
Fun facts.
So
all right.
Now we go into our next segment, which is probably the second best segment of our podcast. And
wow. You're going to do me like that, huh? Jesus.
Well, I can't say this. I just said that mine was the best. So if I say yours is the best, I'm obviously contradicting myself.
Tied. You could say tied for the best. You're not looking out, man. God, you could have said tied for the best.
Okay.
Jesus. Always get to
rewrite,
take the spotlight.
Rewind. Yeah, I'm going to take the spotlight for sure. Absolutely.
All right.
We are going into the new releases.
New releases. Let's get it. Lots of familiar stuff this week as well. So let me pull this up here real quick.
But let's talk about unfamiliar because if we're talking about callbacks, here is the callback. I was talking about this game earlier in the podcast about something like, wow, if we didn't have this podcast, these types of games I would never know about and would never spend the money. So SJW, why don't you announce this game?
Yeah, this is 100% very similar to Slay the Spire and Monster Train, and also similar in the way that we would not have found out about it if it weren't for us doing this segment. And it is called Deck of Ashes. And Deck of Ashes is an adventure game with tactical card combat. One character at a time, lead the cast of anti-heroes on a quest for redemption, explore the cursed fantasy world, and hunt down powerful cards, forge a unique battle deck, and crush your foes. Can you rid the world of the Ash curse? So when I first you right off the ripper like, yeah, this is like Slay the Spire, and I got to agree because it is, but I at first didn't think so because for some reason in the description they don't put roguelike, and that's a key word that I've seen used in every game like Monster Train or Slay the Spire thus far. So it's just kind of weird.
Yeah, well, you want to know why? Because it probably isn't roguelike in a sense from what I can see, because it doesn't look like you're taking a standard path like in Slay the Spire, in Monster Train. You're on a specific path,
like climbing levels. Yeah,
right, you're climbing you're going to a place. This, like, when I look at the video, which we'll probably put up a little bit of the trailers that they show and some of the gameplay, you can see there's a map there and you can select where you're going. And wow, it looks really cool. It's it's already on early access, so you could technically buy the game now on Steam if you want, before it comes out on June 9th, which is Tuesday, which is the day after this podcast. But if you want to buy it now, it's on Steam for $14.99. I don't know if they're gonna have a discount for it when it comes out, or if it's just gonna be $14.99, or if it's going to go up in price after the discount.
Yeah,
but after the early access.
The graphics are different too than Slay the Spire and Monster Train.
You were talking about this game and you were trying to think of the other game. It's very Darkest Dungeon feel in regards to the artwork. Mm-hmm. It's very dark and gothic. So I'd say it's got the artwork of Darkest Dungeon and looks kind of like the gameplay of a Slay the Spire in a sense, and it looks like they have different characters that you can use, just like Slay the Spire. They call them heroes. It looks like from the whole thing, there's 4 to choose from the start. It looks like maybe one's a wizard, one's a necromancer, maybe the other one's like a hunter type character or a rogue, maybe. So there, it looks cool. I'm totally in, and I'm probably going to be buying this game now, quite honestly. After this podcast and playing it. It is a single player game, unlike Monster Train where you can do multiplayer in a sense, but really the multiplayer is just you racing against other people and then doing the dailies. But it definitely looks totally awesome. A game that we would not know about if we didn't do this new releases hunt.
I'm telling you, I think that genre is just getting really popular. So, and again, Deck of Ashes coming out for PC on June 9th. So we got Destiny 2 Season 11. I have not been on the season bandwagon of Destiny. I fell off the Destiny bandwagon after the first Destiny, I gotta say. Still a great game, but that does come out for PC, PS4, and Xbox One on June 9th. Then we also have another familiar in the Elder Scrolls Online, Greymoor. So that actually came out on May 26th for PC. This is now going to be on PS4 and Xbox One on June 9th. So it looks like PC users got it just a tad early. Project Warlock. All right, so Project Warlock, it comes out for PS4 on June 9th. It comes out for Switch on June 11th. And then it comes out for Xbox One on June 12th. So why the 3 different dates like that? I have no idea, but it is coming out in the next week for pretty much everything. We have, let me get a quick description of it. Project Warlock, where did I put you?
Project Warlock is a first-person shooter that fans of Doom, Hexen, and Wolfenstein cannot miss. It serves you as an exploding cocktail of bullets, spells, and monsters. Battle through 60 levels of non-stop action-packed with bloodthirsty enemies and challenging bosses.
Yeah, it says the game tells the tale of the Warlock, a mysterious preacher tasked with a quest to rid the world of the invading forces of evil. Diving headfirst into an inferno of bullets, claws, and fangs, he has to slash and shoot his way through hordes of bloodthirsty demons, unholy monsters, and deadly machines. God, that got like Diablo-esque really quick. But yeah, it looks like Doom. Like, looking at a screenshot, yeah, it looks like original Doom, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and for those who didn't know, it actually was out on PC in 2018. So that's where I pulled that information from, is that on Steam, it's available. You could download a demo on Steam if you want to try it out. It is currently on sale. Probably might be off sale by the time this actually comes out, but the game is on sale for less than $5 on Steam, so you guys know.
And we got Beyond Blue coming out June 11th for PC, PS4, and Xbox One. This is it's another underwater game, kind of like Maneater. Beyond Blue is a single-player narrative adventure that takes you deep into our planet's beating blue heart. Explore the awesome wonder and unbounded mystery that exists within the world's ocean. And again, that comes out on June 11th. Astronauts with an O, not an A, comes out for PC on June 11th. This actually looks interesting. It's like one of those tile type games with like Civilization. You have all the hexagon tiles. A Noor spaceship life sim set in a solar system cut off from a ravaged Earth designs you a one-of-a-kind spaceship. Hire crew with physical and emotional needs. Enjoy detailed ship control panels and interiors. Then manage your dysfunctional crew and ship as you fend off bankruptcy or worse. Yeah, so it's kind of like a Civilization, but for a spaceship and crew.
Nice.
Which is pretty cool. Definitely a new concept. And
yeah,
then we got Prison Architect. Every week, it's like there's always some game where I'm just like, wow, this is a game. If somebody actually wanted to play a game that does exactly this, and apparently people wanted to build some prisons. So we have Prison Architect Island Bound, which has apparently been out already. This is just some DLC. It's going to come out June 11th, 2020. Island Bound is the name of the DLC. And then we have, we already went over Project Warlock, Samurai Showdown, which you supposedly mentioned we might have some news on something next week for it, right?
Guys, stick around for next week. Hopefully we have that interview next week, but we won't tell people that, there could be possible things happening where you might be able to get another game for free. I'm not saying that this is going to be it, but I've been doing some research. I've been doing some research, and it's possible that this one could be coming up next week. But maybe not this one specifically, but something around Samurai Showdown. But stay tuned, guys.
So that comes out for PC on June 11th, and then last but not least, we have Warborn for PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch on June 12th. And this definitely looks different. Deploy for battle in the variable armor, a technologically advanced suit of war with turn-based tactics and quick-fire clashes. Lead a strike force of deadly mecha to bring peace to the solar system in a 40-mission campaign. Create your own maps, practice in skirmish, or battle across multiplayer. This is so weird.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like a tactical RPG with mechs of the ilk of like Gundam or something like that. Kind of looks like a Gundam style.
Well,
game,
it looks
honestly.
like Gundam, but it also looks like an RTS. Like I picture this as like StarCraft. You said RTS?
I said I said it was turn-based. I might have said
you said tactical RPG. That's technically not RTS.
Well, this is tactical because you're moving spaces. Turn-based move of spaces, so that's technically tactical, not...
Oh, actually, okay, I just saw another screenshot, so yeah, that's more like a Fire Emblem type deal with, yeah, okay, I do think you're right. Okay, you nailed it. All right, I'll give you that one, Joe. All right. But yeah, that's it for this week with the new games, and that is also it for the podcast.
That is it, guys. We thank you once again. Don't forget to give us 5 stars, review us, rate us, like all that fun stuff. And we will catch you next week.
Oh, yeah. Everybody have a great week.